My name's Matt Woody. I was a candidate for the House of Representatives in Southern California, Riverside County, which is just right next to Orange County, and has some similarities to Orange County, but quite a bit different. Orange County is known as a Republican area, whereas that's changed a lot in recent decades. It's really more very much split 50-50, even trending to a little more on the Democratic side. Riverside County, however, has quite a big red area to it, especially my district that I ran in. So it was the 42nd District of California I ran in. The current congressman named Ken Calvert, a guy who just flies under the radar, but gets reelected every time because he is a Republican in a Republican area. So I looked at this and I saw opportunity. I saw a terrible representative who can't lose because of it's not even gerrymandering, but it's just the way it works out. California doesn't have official gerrymandering. It's an independently districted state. But so I decided to run. I jumped right into it, and what did I expect going into it? I knew I couldn't expect what to expect. I was getting into something I'd never done. You can't just Google how to run for Congress and get good results and get a plan. So as I was thinking this over, I spent time, and this was the first thing I learned is plan. Plan a lot, plan even more, and then once you execute your plan, adjust. Be ready to throw the plan out at a moment's notice. So I actually spent 3 months planning my run for Congress. From the minute that I decided this is what I want to do, I took the time to come up with a strategy, come up with a platform, and before I actually pulled the trigger, I built my website out, and so that it would be out of the way. That's one of the things you'll find out. The first thing you start talking to people, they're going to ask you what you're all about, and you can answer all those questions, you can make them up, but if you know where you stand and you know what you're all about, that's out of the way. That was my way of planning. And so when I did actually start running and I talked to people, what I found out, my lesson number 2, people loved my message. They loved the message that we're here in Denver for, which is unity and uniting people. It doesn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat, black, white, Christian, atheist, Jewish, Muslim, whatever it might be. We as people, as Americans, have things in common. Our common values. In theory, we all believe in the principles of this country. So people ask me what I stood for. I said, I stand for the Constitution. Those are our shared principles. To me, that was an easy way of uniting people. Talk about things that unite us. And so I talked about our common values, whether it be our common history, our common principles like that, and you can get pulled into a lot of different paths. Everybody wants to divide in this current environment, and I just refuse to go along with it. The most divisive issue in this country, as far as I'm concerned, is abortion, and my position from the beginning was I'm not taking a position because there's no way to get anybody on your side. You automatically alienate half of the population. So I took that off the table, and a small chunk were unwilling to accept that answer, but they weren't going to accept me as a candidate anyway because they already were invested in whatever side they were in. So the unity message was the one, and what I found, when people liked the message, not only was it the message, but they were open to me as an independent. And so if you read the media, you're online on Facebook, everything is pitched as this side or that side, and everybody chooses a side. But in reality, the vast majority of voters are not invested in one side or the other. They will be completely open to voting for a candidate of any party and especially an independent. So I knew that was an advantage once I actually got out there and started talking to people. That's what I felt all along, but it was confirmed when I actually was talking to people. So one of the biggest lessons I learned, and again, a lot of these things seem like common sense, but you don't know what you don't know until it's too late. And so despite all my planning, despite adjusting at this point or that point in the campaign, at one point I had planned from the beginning, I was doing two mailers, one to Republicans and independents who vote in the primary, who vote by mail, and then another one to those who vote at the polling place. And I had this planned out from the very beginning. I thought that trying to win Democratic votes against the Democratic candidates was going to be too difficult, but I found out that it wasn't, that I was actually running really strong with Democrats. So I tossed that out, and my second mailer, which was all I had in the budget, went to Democrats, and I know I won a lot of people over that way from that. But the other main lesson I learned is you can't do it all alone. Again, common sense, and you need to have people around you who will help out. It's one of the reasons I struggled and was ultimately not successful. I didn't get enough people on my side. Should I run again, I know I will put a lot more effort into building up a better team around me. But what it comes down to is return on investment. You only have so much money, you only have so much time, so much energy. And you need to put your time and money where it's going to get the most return. So at one point I started out in parking lots trying to get signatures to get my name on the ballot. And I knew that wasn't all that productive. There's only a small number of people who vote. But then I applied that to other things throughout the campaign. And eventually, like I said, when you target the people who are actually going to vote or who are willing to vote for you, that's how you get your ROI when you're actually running a campaign. So just to close up, I have other things that I learned, and I'm happy to talk with anybody afterwards. It's been a great weekend so far. We're not even halfway done, but I'm looking forward to the other programs and chatting with more people. Thank you so much.